If you're a new parent and you're considering daycare for your children, I have some things that I think might be helpful to you. First and foremost, get on a wait list. I don't know how many times I can say that, but get on a wait list well before you need to. Literally, the second you know that you are pregnant, just get on the wait list. There's no harm in doing so. Get on there. It's better to have a spot than not have a spot at all. Also, plan accordingly. You need to budget appropriately for childcare. Childcare is incredibly expensive, and especially infant childcare, but the cost is really high, and I think people are often very taken aback. So do your research, figure out what the rates are in your area, plan accordingly. Okay, when it actually comes to daycare, here's the thing. This is the number one thing you need to know. You're gonna get sick. Your kids are inevitably gonna get sick. You cannot avoid it. It just happens. Pink eye, the cold, I call it the daycare cough that's just like ever present, or the daycare runny nose, stomach bugs. There's just always something because there's 7 little babies in a room and they all go out and about with their families on the weekends and they come back and they just mush their germs all together. And the teachers are really good about hygiene and cleaning, but there's only so much you can do with little ones and they don't have immune systems. So it's really important that you just know this is going to happen and decide how you and your partner want to tackle sick time, right? Because there's going to be a lot of time that you're at home with sick kids. In the last week, I've had kids home 5 out of 10 days. So just FYI, like prepare for that. Don't send your kids to school in clothes that you care about. Like they're gonna get ruined or paint on them or dirt or whatever it is. And always, always, always send extra clothes, right? Like my bin has like 7 extra outfits because there'll be a day where your toddler has an accident and then they spill milk all over themselves and then they go down the wet slide and they just need clothes. So send all of the clothes to daycare. That is really important, but also don't feel like too much attachment to the clothes because they might get ruined and that's okay. It's also important to know that there's a lot going on in daycare, and so sometimes things will happen and you will be required to fill out what's called an incident report. At least that's what it's called where I live. And I just saw a dad get very taken aback by this the other day. But essentially what happens is if your kid does something to another kid, like bites or hits them, you typically have to fill out a report acknowledging that you understand kind of what happened. Or if your kid gets hurt for some reason. And my kids have never really, knock on wood, gotten hurt at daycare, but I have a toddler who like runs into walls all day long and I've had to fill out a few for her. And I also go into school oftentimes and say, yes, she has a bruise on her head. She ran into the wall this morning. She's just moving too fast for her body at this point in time. So that's just something to note. I know that's really surprising to some people to have to fill that out. It feels really scary, but it's just something to know. Things to look for are asking about ratios for the classroom so you understand what that looks like, how they enrich the kids, what the curriculum is. They almost always send you the curriculum every single week so you know what's going on. Ask about the turnover. My favorite thing about our daycare is that the teachers have been there for like 10 plus years. Like amazing, love it. When you're at daycare, it is also important to note that very young, your kids will have good friends, friends they don't get along with, kids in their class that maybe have behavioral things that you maybe aren't ideal. There are a lot of things happening in a classroom. And so it's a really good opportunity to teach your kids about, how to be with people, even if they don't enjoy them as a friend, if that makes sense, right? I have a 3-year-old who will sometimes not want to play with certain kids in her class, and we have to have talks about that. And it's a really good way for them to learn appropriate social behaviors, even if they're not quite ready to like know how to execute on that. I will also say this, I love daycare. It has been such a great thing for our family. We've built an amazing community. I have great mom friends. I trust the teachers. The kids love going. They've made the best little friends there. Like daycare can be an amazing experience. It's just important to know what you're getting into.